This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and Talkspace, the leading virtual therapy provider, is sharing the message that connection is crucial because good relationships are an essential and sometimes overlooked component of mental well-being. If your relationships could use some strengthening, a licensed therapist from Talkspace can help. Therapy can help you communicate better with loved ones, repair conflicts, and understand how to address loneliness and build community. It's easy to sign up. Just go to Talkspace.com and you'll be paired with a therapist within 2 days. You'll meet with your therapist online on your schedule. Plus, Talkspace is in-network with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. Make personal connections a priority and start today. If you're not covered by insurance, get $80 off your first month with Talkspace when you go to Talkspace.com and enter promo code SPACE80. That's SPACE80. To match with a licensed therapist today, go to Talkspace.com and enter promo code SPACE80.
Hi, welcome back to Emotionally Unavailable. I'm your host, Malisa Hepner. I guess today will just be talking about a few things, actually. So I do want to talk about this being my first Mother's Day without Jake. I'm recording this on Mother's Day. If you're new here, Jake was my middle child. He was 18 years old, close to turning 19 when he died in December of a synthetic opioid overdose. Anyway, so oftentimes these solo episodes will be like a grief update or things I'm learning in grief or just whatever. But boy, Mother's Day is so complicated for me. It has been for so long. So I just want to talk about that. Anyone who's unfamiliar with kind of my backstory, I have CPTSD because of my really super fucked up childhood. So I was not, after the age of 8, I was not in full-time care with either of my parents. I was raised primarily by my maternal grandmother, off and on from birth, but then full-time after 8. So anyway, there's lots of things you can read my first book, Owning My Crazy, if you want to know about that. But anyway, so my grandma, I used to be so intent on calling her a covert narcissist, but what I will say now that I can see the trends in the behaviors, see how I have mirrored those behaviors in my own relationships, even in my parenting relationships, I will say that she, like me, had tons of narcissistic traits. Sorry, but we're both Gemini suns. I feel like that's anyway. So, I think about her a lot on Mother's Day because Mother's Day was so my mom died when I was 22. I was pregnant with my first son. My dad died when I was 15. So after my mom died, I became a mom, and I guess I would have had my first Mother's Day post-loss while I was pregnant. She died April 29th, so Mother's Day would have been within a couple of weeks, which I'm sure was excruciating. But I was very good at not dealing with any of that. I cried, and I think the difference between how I dealt with my dad at 15 and how I dealt with my mom at 22 was I had, I guess I felt more supported with my mom because I was allowed to talk about it with my grandma. Or maybe not. Honestly, I remember feeling and I don't think she did this actually. I remember being, because when you grow up in these codependent and meshed relationships, I was very attuned to what her needs may be. So I do know there was at least some concern that maybe I was asking her to be there for me a little too much because this was her daughter versus my mother. And who had more of a right to grieve, which, I mean, truly, I would never have even thought that way probably, but she had programmed me to believe things like that previously through previous losses. And especially when my dad died, she was just a really unsafe person to go to with that. So I think maybe that helped that I could talk about my mom pretty openly and feeling sad about it. So maybe I did deal with it some, but I really believe that my identity shifted to mom. That was all my identity, mom, immediately. And that looking back, I can definitely see that was my coping mechanism for losing her, was like, well, I'm going to be the best mom ever. I'm not going to make any of the mistakes she made. And I'm trying to think of what my inner narrative must have been to make my outer narrative look my outer world look the way it did at the time. I think I must have thought, I have to be perfect at this because the mother-daughter, mother-child relationship is painful. And I didn't want to ever cause my kids the level of pain that I was in post her loss, and even just in general with the relationship. So anyway, so I became a mom, and that was my entire identity. I was a very judgmental mother of myself, and particularly those around me. If you, oh gosh, and it's funny because I can definitely see why I did the things I did then. But like, if you made a different parenting decision than I did because of how insecure I actually was about whether or not I was doing any of this correctly, and the level of validation that I really needed, that because I couldn't validate myself in any one of my identities, let alone as a mother, it felt like a direct attack to me, my character, my humanity, my motherhood. It's very embarrassing, truly. And it was very painful. I mean, I really struggled through friendships during this time with, because we were all new moms. And if you did things exactly like I did, it was fine. Our friendships were fine, except for that it was all about, like, the way we connected was basically talking shit about other moms. Ugh, I'm grossed out by myself. But anyway, that's the truth. And I lost some friendships because of this. And I was not my best self in my relationships. Yeah. So anyway, the history of Mother's Day during that time, I don't remember feeling super down, or, on Mother's Day, I'd feel somewhat down, but I also remember feeling grateful for Bryson. And I think I must have received the types of gifts that mean something to me or whatever from my ex-husband, Bryson's dad, Jake's dad, because that was kind of the only way to feel validated at that time. So I think at the very least, for years, I was managing fine around that holiday. I remember it being painful on the holiday, but I don't remember it being all consuming. I remember being able to kind of go, oh, like, let me celebrate my children. Like the fact that I'm in this role now too. But I also can remember expectations around it, and anytime your expectations aren't met, you're going to feel betrayal. So I felt that too. So I definitely know it was present, but like, I don't think it's definitely transformed since then in not great ways. So, but anyway, as a young mom, super, super insecure. Yeah. So then I remember the year that I was single. I wasn't married and I wasn't living with anyone, but I was doing lots of things, I remember that being kind of a bummer year because I didn't have anyone to make me feel special. Because children do what your partner has them do, you know what I mean? And looking back, this was probably the first time as an adult that I'm really pinpointing a day like Mother's Day or my birthday to make me feel special. Because prior to that, I do remember feeling really special in teenagehood because I had the most amazing little teenage friends. I wish I had seen that sooner, truly. Their hearts were so pure for me, and yeah. So they really made me feel really special on my birthday. That's been a thing in my past because I was a middle child. I didn't feel special growing up. I didn't feel special for so many fucking reasons, but, abandonment, rejection, all the things, all the reasons that none of us feel special. I actually think this is a universal condition. Just that too much, not enough narrative, So for me, part of what created that wounding was my brother was born in May of 79. I was born of June of 80. And then my younger brother is August of 81. So my older brother is May 28th. I'm June 16th. So just a couple of weeks difference there. And my, if my parents had money, they'd have it for his birthday, and then a couple weeks later wouldn't necessarily have it for mine. So there's just lots of dumb shit like that that created some of that wounding and just all of the trauma in general, obviously. So there's that. But I do remember after teenage years, I mean, I remember definitely relying on my friendships and the gifts and the beautiful, wonderful little celebrations that they gave me for my birthday. It worked, but I needed it. I remember needing it, but receiving it, and I was able to receive what they were intending with those celebrations. So that was good. I think for several years in my first marriage, I was able to kind of feel that same thing, Mother's Day, birthday. I had my first when I was 22, so we were married a couple years then. But hey guys, it's me. Emotionally Unavailable is produced 100% in-house by me with no team. So if this show has ever helped you and you want to give back, subscribe to the Patreon. There's several different levels with different benefits in each. Check the show notes and you can see what each tier subscription will get you. I also plan to there's also lots of fun things coming down the pipeline for the Patreon subscribers. So get in early. You can get a workbook, you can buy merch, you can do any of the things, and all of that supports the show to help it keep going. Really appreciate every single one of you. I love you so much, and I can't wait to see what we continue to do together. For several years, I was probably able to feel some sort of validation that I was seeking in those holidays. So I don't remember feeling real bummed out about Mother's Day or even my birthday in my early 20s. I remember, like I said, feeling sad that one year because I didn't have anyone to make me feel special. And that's been such a theme. People need to make me feel special. I rely on other people to give me this thing that I've been searching for my whole fucking life. Special, special, special. So, yeah, I kind of remember that being a thing. I remember the first few years of being with Brian. I wonder if I was just in general happier. So the boys and I, either they were at their dad's that weekend and it was fine, and then I saw them when they get home, we'd celebrate, or we'd do something fun because it was Mother's Day. I don't remember feeling really bummed out. Now he and I moved in together like August of 2010. Yeah. We got married in March of 2012. So I know during those couple of years, I wasn't feeling all of that depression. But I will say this. I think it's so much because, no, I'm so embarrassed to say this, but it's not the first time and it's in my book and I talk about stuff like this. But I think those first 2 years, my focus was so outward focused on him and proving that like I could be a stable wife and like he should want to marry me and stuff. And now, as much like embarrassment as I feel about that, I kind of am so glad that I had like a break from all the focus being on like how people could show up for me. I really think I was happier. Those few years, I really had a great little break in shit because my focus really was like how I could show up, how I was showing up in all kinds of ways. Because it wasn't just with him, but like if I wanted to be that way with him, I had to be a certain way out in the world. And I think career-wise, things were fine. So yeah, I kind of think those few years were happy. Like I was pretty outward focused. Then I got pregnant. Which I was like 36, I think, when I had her. So that was rough. That was rough. And I had to take extra progesterone because of miscarriages and whatever. And, listen, me and progesterone are not friends. Okay. It makes me violent. It really does. Like every month when I ovulate, it's a whole thing. So got pregnant, had postpartum, recognized the signs of postpartum, but was too afraid to get help. So I didn't. And then, so I had her in June, really struggled with postpartum. And then my grandma died in February. And I in no way dealt with that. Like, what I did was I started doing martial arts. I started running. I would binge eat donuts. I was just doing everything to keep, and I remember trying, like, I remember thinking, but I had no information on like what being a healthy functioning person in general looked like, let alone grieving person who's trying to do it in a healthy way. But I remember, like, I was such an angry person. And it was just because of like postpartum and then grief and whatever, because there was so much complicated grief involved in my relationship with my grandma. So it was like, a lot of drama had happened at the end of her life in terms of where she would be, who would be the primary caregiver, whatever. It was a really hateful experience. Personally, I think I could have done a couple of things a little better, but I actually don't feel like I was the problem in that situation still to this day. So whatever. I was just doing my best, and it was pretty dramatic. And there was so much remorse over the years post divorce that I didn't invest in our relationship for so good a reason. Like, she wasn't easy to invest in. So, yeah, I think I really, during that time, post that time, actually from 2015, February 2015 to like probably maybe February of 2025, truly, those 10 years looked a lot like me needing, craving, begging, quietly, obviously, for people to show me that I was special, that to give me any kind of validation, anything. And so my birthday and Mother's Day became the pinnacle of those days. I think part of my birthday thing was my grandma had this really shitty attitude about her birthday. Her dad died on her 19th birthday, suddenly, tragically, of a heart attack. There's no way there wasn't some complicated grief there, because what I've learned about her dad from my cousin Diana is that he really was not as good of a person as she made him out to be, okay? But yeah, so I just, oh my God, it was such a big deal. And so every gift I gave her, or every gift we gave, like, we would all try so hard. Like, my aunt Annette used to give her plants because we knew she really liked plants, and that would make her happy. Like, there were some things that were like, it was a win, but she still had to put some negative spin on the day itself. So it was like, and then even on your own birthday, she'd be like, well, I had a card here for you, but you didn't come by and get it. Bitch, I live 30 minutes from you. Like, I didn't feel like driving to your house so that I could get the card. You couldn't put it in the mail. You or you didn't call. You couldn't call me on my birthday. Like, whatever. So there was all this shit all the time. So there was just such a complicated grief. And I just didn't have this first single clue on why I was experiencing the level of agitation I was. I was so dysregulated. Um, so many things transpired. And yeah, I think that was really the beginning of just some real shit for me and for my little babies. So nothing was good enough on Mother's Day, and everything that they ever tried to do, it just didn't. I, even my birthday, like, literally, oh gosh, people would try so hard, and I just remember feeling so disappointed no matter what. And honestly, that's what's been making me think about my grandma so much the last couple of days, is like, I get it now. This just ties into the stuff that I've been talking so much about, and why I'm so passionate about us understanding this is our subconscious narratives are very strong, and they must at all costs be confirmed. My grandma didn't feel special. She didn't feel special. She didn't feel worthy. She didn't feel deserving. So any slight indication that that might be true, she would latch onto. Anything that was incongruent to that, if we did get the perfect gift or come by, at the exact time that just felt like the perfect time for her or whatever, then that didn't confirm the narrative. So she had to find a way to make it shitty. this is why so many boomers do this, for the same reasons. They don't feel special, they don't feel worthy, they don't feel deserving. I'm explaining this so that you don't take it personally when they behave like bastard, crazy people, because it's not your fault and it's not your problem. So, I'll get to that. Anyway, so yeah, I think till 2025, I was still really struggling with how how to feel special, how to receive love from others. And it wasn't until I felt love, true deep self-love for the first time, that I really understood that's the only love there is, and that's why I couldn't receive love from anyone else. I couldn't share love with anyone else because I didn't know what it actually felt like. So, all that to say, this Mother's Day, a couple of weeks ago, I kind of just like thought about it in a hypothetical situation and thought that does seem real shitty. My first Mother's Day without Jake. But I think I've had such a complicated relationship with this day because after my grandma died, I couldn't even be on social media leading up to Mother's Day, the few days after, up until last year, honestly. And so I don't think this is a coincidence, though, that I'm thinking so much about her, because I was talking to somebody about this dynamic on Friday about the whole like gift giving and never being enough and whatever. And it made me think of her. And then yesterday I was at the store and I saw someone that looked so much like her, had a shirt exactly like one that she owned. I saw her a couple times. So the second time I smiled at her and she smiled really big back. And I was like, okay, I don't believe in coincidences. And then I've just thought about her so much today. So this is why I felt so led to talk about this, stuff specifically. So, I thought about it in a hypothetical sense, and I thought, I don't know that it can feel a lot worse than Mother's Day in general, because overall, I've not really enjoyed this holiday. And I'm learning not to dread things before they come, because there was like that feeling of dread in your stomach, but I'm learning that's fear. And how I feel right now is all that matters. So I was like, you know what? However that day shakes out, I'm going to allow it to shake out that way. So yeah, I guess that brings us to today. I woke up and, well, actually, in the hypothetical conversation with myself, I actually started to feel so much gratitude for my other two children. And I thought, I kind of want to make them a special brunch and let them know how grateful I am for them. Like, anyway, so I woke up this morning. Actually, I got to sleep till close to noon. I've been exhausted this weekend, though it's just been a busy week. And, life's getting busier in general, and I'm just having to sleep when I can. So, I slept till noon. That felt great. I responded to people for a little bit, and then I started to notice I'm feeling resentful and agitated at most of the communication I'm receiving. And that just told me it has nothing to do with what anyone's saying. Like, I'm needing space. Okay, I need space. So I just stopped responding to people. And then I've noticed that certain topics in the house feel overwhelming to me, so I've asked us not to speak about those things, like money, shit like that. I don't feel like I have a lot of space for other people's feelings today. So those are just things I've observed. Overall, I wouldn't label anything I feel today as sad, but I can see the grief coming up because I am tired, I am overwhelmed, and I am agitated. So yeah, I'm just kind of noticing those things and taking care of myself as needed. I do need to eat soon again, so I know that that's part of my issue. Um, but the thing that makes me feel really sad if I think about it too much, um, is the remorse and regret over those 10 years that I did not feel gratitude for my children on this holiday. Um, and it's also very easy to forgive myself because I know that internally I didn't feel special and I felt really insecure about my motherhood. And so my external world had to validate that. So I'm allowing it to come up and feel it. And I'm also able to hold it and then release it because I don't deserve to live in remorse and regret. But I do think this was something that I had to feel and address, that I definitely feel like I could have been a lot more grateful. And now he's gone. But even saying that, it was just one day of the year. I think overall I felt really grateful to be their mom, even though I felt like I was really bad at it a lot of times. And I think I have expressed to them on more than 100 occasions how grateful I am for them. So hopefully, I don't know that he could feel that, but I also think that was his own journey. And I know he knows that now. So that's probably the worst part, is not getting to say, I'm so grateful I got to be your mom. But I also know, I am breaking this cycle. And I am showing my children how they make their outer world match their inner world. So, I think it's okay to wish that it could have been different, but I'm not gonna like sit in that. And certainly reminds me I want to express my gratitude to people in general more, because I am so grateful. And if I want to look for love, it's easy to find. I have so much love in my life. And yeah, but I'll be honest, like, I want to tell my kids how grateful I am for them, but it's still hard to say things like that face to face to them. Like, that level of vulnerability isn't easy for me. So, let's hope I'll get the nerve to do that today. Um, yeah, so that's kind of what I've been thinking about today. And I'm just allowing myself to be in my little bubble and take care of myself. And taking care of myself kind of means being in the quiet right now. And I'm okay with that. And I just lovingly encourage all of you to recognize, how does my outer world look? If it looks like no one shows up for me, if it looks like I'm not special, if it looks like, well, however it looks for you, there's something inside of you creating that. And I know that's not an easy pill to swallow, so that's your journey. But I love you guys. I appreciate you being here so much, and hope that you'll stick around. And yeah, guess I'll see you guys later. Thanks for coming to Emotionally Unavailable. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, and share. Emotionally Unavailable. All right, that's it from me. So make sure that you check out the show notes for links. And until next time, let's all just keep swimming.
INDEPE and cut.